Yo.
How you getting on, Simon? Good to see you.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You?
Yeah. Still rocking and rolling. So, as I was saying, everyone, this is episode 11 of Quarantine Fitness and Life. So we're in double figures with this. So this is just a platform I created to help people with their physical fitness during lockdown times, but also to help with other issues coming from sort of like lockdown in terms of like how people are feeling, what things they're struggling with, so we can sort of chat about these. So any sort of like issues that come up or things you want to discuss as we're chatting, write them down in the comment section below and we'll sort of like chat about those. So one of the main things I sort of like thought would be good to chat about, it really stemmed from something that you sort of said in previous lives, how with doing projects that, let's say, people might look at what other people are doing and that might make them go, because that person's done this and I've done nothing, then it just makes them feel worse about themselves. So it's just really the fact that comparison is never really a great thing for us really to do. So, I mean, do you think this is something that, even in this lockdown situation, that still might make people feel worse about themselves during this time?
I think it could do. I think the main thing is that we're consuming other people's lives through social media at the minute, rather than real life. So generally what you're going to see on someone's social media is their own best reflection of themselves. So they're going to leave bits out. So for example, even with me, when I have my down days, I don't post about that as much. I'll be honest if someone asks me, but I still put the positivity forward more than anything else. So you got to remember that. And when you see those things, you don't think, oh, but I don't always feel good. I'm not always positive. So you got to remember how you're consuming other people's lives now. Yes. You can't go and visit people like you used to be able to. So you're not keeping it real in the same way that you would usually, because all you're seeing is photos, videos. Even when you see someone on a video call, like most of the time, you know, you picked a time you're going to see them, they're going to get ready for it. I don't look like this all the time. I make sure I look the best when I'm going to be on a video or I'm going to be in a position where someone's going to see me, even if I'm at home. So, yeah, I think that can be the main reason why during lockdown it could be worse than other times, if anything. I mean, I don't know what you think, but
yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with what you've said there, especially as we're in this society now where social media and the fact that we can see what everyone's doing is such a prevalent thing. But I think really this situation should really show that we should be able to like just talk about if we aren't really feeling great and that we can get help from other people. Like my recent post, I actually talked about how one of the days I didn't necessarily have a great day, you know. But then what I did was actually, I thought for a post to actually do my progress from the start of almost like when I was a young boy till now. And then that actually made me re-remember the type of things I'm actually trying to do and achieve, which is what, again, why actually having goals and think about what is it you want to achieve is so important. And that's the thing when it comes to comparison. If you're looking at what other people are doing, is that tied to even what you want to do?
Well, yeah, that's exactly true.
So, I mean, it's one of these things that we need to be careful with what we're looking at and who we're looking at and why we're looking at it. I mean, it's sort of that thing that, for instance, like we do sort of like bodybuilding competitions. That is all about comparison, which is fair enough. That's the nature of that sport.
Ironically, yeah.
Ironically, but the point is that the person that wins is just the winner on that day.
Yes.
You know, that's not that they're the best in life or they'll be the best if it was done the day before, the day after. It's just for that one day. In the end of the day, everyone still needs to strive for themselves to be the best they can for that stage or even for the next competition. So really, in the end of the day, the comparison isn't actually the main thing of it. That's just to show who wins the day. Everyone still needs to do their own work so that they can be the best that they can be on that day that they're doing it. So that's the thing I think is quite analogous to life. I mean, is that something that you sort of like agree with when you sort of like see it in that way.
Yeah, definitely. And you're comparing, when you do that kind of comparison, you also have to be wary that you're comparing yourself to someone else on a different stage in their journey towards whatever goal it might be. Even bodybuilding is a great example because, I mean, for me, I've only been training. I competed when I was younger, but I've only been training seriously for just over 2 years now. And I'm stepping on stage with people like yourself who've been doing it for 10 years. You know, pretty well a long time. So for me to look at someone like yourself or a lot of the other guys and go, well, I don't have quite as much muscle mass as that person, or I don't look quite as good as that person. I'm comparing myself to other people at different points in their journey to mine. So it's an easy way to go into a downward spiral. You have to take, rather than compare yourself to those people, find out what you can learn from those people, because they've gone through it before you. So you've got a chance to learn from someone else's mistakes, for want of a better way of putting it. So use it as a learning. And well, yeah, but that's a story for a different day, Sean, I think, mate. but yeah, you can't put yourself down because someone else is better than you, because that's stupid.
Yeah. No, and I think that, and that's just really the point from here. I mean, the only really time to really look at what other people are doing is really to actually be inspired by it, or as you said, to try and learn from it. You know, so because if it's the case that we just sort of look at what other people are doing, or look at where they are in terms of in this case, like their physical fitness journey to what they look like on a stage, but it could be in any sort of thing in life. If we just look at what car someone's driving or what job someone's got, if that's all we're focusing on, what that person's got, then that's only going to lead us into a negative spiral, because we're just thinking we don't have it. Whereas if we think, okay, what has that person done to get that job? What have they learned to be able to get themselves into a better position? What can I do to learn that? Can I speak to them and see what they do? Can I speak to other people in that situation? That's the different mindset that sort of gets us into actually bettering ourselves. I mean, is that pretty much where you were sort of going with that point as well?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you can't look at someone else's result in isolation, because you're just looking at what they've done at that point, or what you can see at that point. There's other factors, but everyone's journey is different. So the amount of work they put in could be different from you. Like what they do for a job could be different from you. The opportunities they've had, the life they've lived can be different from you. So they might have struggled more, they might have struggled less. Like you can't judge something just based on that one factor, because as well, I think when you look at something and you start to stress, like I'll give you an example actually, that I had myself over the last couple of weeks. So I've created a few little products in my time for fitness products, just programs and stuff. And for me, I think they're personally, well, obviously I would because I made it myself. I think they're pretty good. Like that's my opinion is I've created a good product there, because that's the point. I put it out and I look at some of these successful fitness entrepreneurs and I think, well, my product's as good, potentially a bit better if we could directly compare. But my fitness business is going nowhere right now fast. It's very, very slow because it's in the start. And these people are making loads of money within, arguably, perhaps not, I can't say inferior products, but products that are equally as good as mine, right? And I was talking to my wife, and she said something that resonated with me massively. She said, yeah, but those people have got an audience and you haven't.
Yeah. Because
they're at a different point in their journey. And it doesn't mean that they're better than me at what they're doing. They're a lot longer down their journey, and they're doing those things at the right time, where potentially I'm using them as a role model and thinking I need to do those things, but it's actually too early for me. I need to focus on different things. And that led me to be thinking, oh, well, obviously there's a point to creating the products I've created, but for them to reach an audience is perhaps going to be later on in my journey as a fitness entrepreneur, whereas now I need to focus on different things, and that's fine. But if you didn't realise and accept that, it'd be very easy to think, my stuff's not that good.
Yes.
Like, people don't trust me. Like, perhaps I don't have the skills, or perhaps I've done something wrong. And then you start to question yourself because what you've perhaps done the same thing as someone else, but you haven't been as successful. Then you have to ask you the questions, why is that?
And I think that is really a great sort of point there, in the sense that even look at it from, there's some really good sort of like analogy that I've sort of seen, a little picture analogy where it shows you, as soon as I say it, you'll know exactly, it shows you an iceberg.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, exactly. So people only really, when people see what other people are doing or what they've achieved, all they're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. They're not seeing underneath, which is the time they've spent, the pain they've went through, the failures of maybe trying to make that work. People just don't see that. Because even as Simon said before, like, in times where maybe he's not feeling as good or something, he's not necessarily going to post that all the time, versus the stuff that, you know, when he's really trying to motivate people, because he's trying to have a motivational page really, so he's going to show more motivational stuff. But the point is that we still need to go through certain things to even get to the sort of top level. So if we're just comparing what we see, then no wonder we're getting a false result or false reality of things, because we're not actually comparing like with like. And I think that's the problem with comparison.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree. It's you're comparing what you see. And in my example, this is the one that happened to me this week that I just mentioned. I picked I'm not going to mention who it was, but a fitness professional that I'd been kind of using as inspiration, and I scrolled all the way down their Instagram feed back to 2014. Okay, so 6 years ago. 6 years ago, they were already at a point where they were creating the content that they still create now. Okay, so they've been doing it for a long time. So, and even those first posts back in 2014 had 3,000 or 4,000 likes on those posts, right? So the audience was massive for a long time. And there's me going, well, no one's getting in touch with me. Well, yeah, but I've been doing fitness strictly, probably publicly, for 2 and a bit years. Okay, he's been doing it, and his physique, this guy, he's not like a pro athlete or anything. He's just a fitness guy. His physique in 2014 was already considerably better than mine now, at this point in my journey. So I was asking the questions, but I went to find the answers, and then I felt better, because I thought, okay, so I'm not doing that bad, because I'm pretty early on now. And then I just had to rethink what I had to focus on. But yeah, it's very easy to compare yourself to someone who's at a completely different stage in their life than you, and that's so dangerous. Because really, you need to be able to step away from something, because not everything you do is going to be massively successful. Like, I remember when I was younger thinking, I'll create this thing and everyone's going to buy it. That's not how life works. I'm going to become a personal trainer and everyone's going to want me as a PT because I'm really good at being a PT. No, that's not how it works. You have to put the years in to prove yourself. Even if you know you've got a talent for something, the world doesn't know it. And they won't trust that it's genuine until you've put the time in. So you have to stay motivated, that if you've got a goal, that it will happen, but you don't want to paralyze yourself by comparing yourself to other people. What I like to call, and I did a post about this the other day, paralysis by over-analysis. Okay?
Yeah.
So basically, you're looking at everyone else and saying, I'm not good enough, and it stops you doing anything, because you think what you do isn't going to be successful, but really all you need is that time to keep doing it and consistently doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's where it does come to what I said before, that you can only really use these other people, let's say in Simon's sort of example here of the fitness professional he was looking at, as inspiration to go, if I stay in this long enough, I could be at that type of level.
That's it.
That's almost the physical example of what I'm trying to sort of say with that. And we are all at different stages in all things that we do. I mean, that's why it's basically when it's called, in terms of physical fitness, it's a fitness journey. But everything that we do is a journey that we're on, and we're always generally looking at people ahead of us rather than people behind us.
Yeah, so that's the nature of it.
Yeah, so this is why we've actually got to, as Simon said, to take sometimes a step back if we're feeling a bit overwhelmed by it, or even maybe thinking that we're not making enough progress that we'd like to, then just take that step back and just think, okay, well, I'm actually not doing that bad, I'm still in it. What can I do to make this better?
Yeah, or how can I get there faster?
Yeah,
use those people as a target.
And that's the thing that a lot of us don't really do. And I'll even use myself as an example here. So in 2016, I've been training since about 2001, but it was really 2016 was when I actually started taking a lot of this actually properly seriously, as in going, I really want to properly really improve. I'm not just taking this a hobby of me just training 3 or 4 times a week type thing. So yeah. I did that. I trained. So this again just showed how eager I was. I trained like 6 or 7 days per week. Kept on training. I went on holiday in, I think it was the June of that year, and we got photos back, and I looked at myself and I was like, right, I'm training like 6 or 7 days a week, but I'm not looking like these guys.
Yeah.
At that point there, a lot of people would just maybe either give up or just say certain things, right? About what people but what I did was the opposite, and this is what a lot of people don't do. I went, what is it I'm doing wrong? And that's when my answer to that was, it was the nutritional side. So this is why I know so much about nutrition, because I had to learn what people were doing in the fitness industry, and just in general, people who were in shape, what they understood about nutrition. And as soon as I started to be able to apply that to myself and learn it, then that's when I started getting similar results. And it's like, if we use that type of thing in our own lives, what is it to actually look at ourselves and go, okay, well, if I want to get to this place and I'm here, what do I need to do? What do I need to understand to get me there, rather than just to think, oh, they're doing that and it looks so easy for them, I'm trying, it's not working, then just use that comparison as what you said there, sort of to paralyze you in your action. It's like, we need to actually look more, what do we want to sort of like, what do we need to learn? What do we need to do that's going to help us progress on this journey to get to where we want to be? I mean, does that sort of like resonate with you at all?
Yeah, 100%. And I think something that you said made me like think about something else as well, to do with especially fitness, is that it's actually not easy. Yeah. Like, and the thing you said is like, it looks easy for certain people because they make it look that way. That's the whole thing. Like for me, I take in my stride, but even when I'm on prep, yeah. I just go, because that's just what I've got to do. And it doesn't look difficult for me, but it doesn't mean it's not exceptionally hard work. It's just I'm not forever saying, oh, this is so difficult. Oh, I've got to eat another meal. Oh, I've got to do another hour's cardio. You just do it because that's what you want to do. And sometimes people can mistake like dedication and motivation to it's something being easy, and that actually it's the other way around. You have to be dedicated and motivated to do those things because they're hard.
Yes.
And I think that's what puts people off, because they will think, well, look at this guy. Look, Nana getting all these results and like it's easy for him. Well, actually, no, it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone. Getting in incredible shape is not easy, or everyone who went to the gym would look like that. Like, look fantastic. Everyone that touched a weight would look brilliant. And it's not the case. I mean, if you work in a gym where you've spent any time in a gym, you know there's a group of people that look the same day in, day out, and they're training hard because they're missing something out. Yeah. And it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's easy if you know how.
Exactly.
And you're willing. That's the point. And if you know how, you still have to have the motivation and effort to actually go and do it, because it also takes time. Time, effort, and knowledge. They're the 3 things that you need. And that's to achieve anything. It's not just fitness.
Yeah.
But don't be kind of worried because you see anyone in any field making it look easy, because trust me, behind closed doors, it's hard for them too. Yeah. So never think you're lesser because you're finding something difficult, because anything worth doing really is going to be tough at some point. And that's just reality.
Yeah. And that's where it comes back to that iceberg sort of like analogy that I talked about before, that people are not seeing what's under the iceberg, what's under the water. and that's where it is tough, and that's what people don't see. But no, the thing that I loved what you said there is like that sort of like three-pronged approach there: time, knowledge, and was it effort?
Effort, yeah.
You know, it's like if we're not getting to where we want to get to, and we're seeing other people getting there, then we've got to look at: are we actually doing these three things? Have we spent anywhere near as much time in the game as the people that we're looking up to?
Yeah.
Are we putting in enough effort? And this is not necessarily the same level of effort that these other people are putting in, because you probably won't know that.
Yeah.
But we know that can we look at ourselves and go, I'm doing everything I can? So that, and then knowledge. Do you have enough knowledge to make sure that you can get to where you want to get to?
I.e., is your time and effort not wasted?
Exactly.
So basically, you can't get anywhere without. Even if you have two of those things, you'll never progress. You need all three.
And I think that is the thing, that people might have one of them, might have two of them, but because they don't have all three, they still think because they're doing a bit that they should be making really good progress. And even in terms of physical fitness, people might go to the gym and train, but the nutrition might not be that great, and they wonder why they're not getting results. Or they might actually train, they might actually have good nutrition, but they're not giving their body enough rest in terms of rest or sleep. So the thing is, the people that get results in anything, they're the ones that do everything. They don't just do some of it, they don't just do most of it, they do all of it that will get them to where they're going. And I think that's the sort of key thing that I suppose people need to sort of like think about, in terms of if they are going to be comparing themselves to people, then they need to start comparing like with like. Are you doing anything like what these people that you maybe are comparing yourself to are doing?
Yeah, that's true. I can't remember if I said it on one of the lives with you or on another podcast, but the thing is some people think if they try really hard once or twice and they're not making progress, then that something's wrong. But really, a phrase that stood out to me recently is that it's, in terms of fitness, it's better to be consistently average than it is to be sporadically brilliant. Right? If you can just poodle along averagely, pretty good nutrition, pretty good training, and just keep doing it, you'll get better and better and better. But if you spend 1 week, everything's perfect, training's perfect, and the next week you go, I can't be bothered, and then the next week you go back on again, you won't make any progress. So you might have those perfect weeks, but you're just going to set yourself back to square one. It's better to just be consistently doing the right things consistently. Two consistencies there. But that's better than just being perfect and then not really trying, because you've burnt yourself out, basically.
But I think it just comes down to even that word there, which is actually why it was good you said it twice. It's being consistent. Because that's the thing that's going to progressively make us improve in anything that we're doing. And I think that's the thing that people find toughest about any type of endeavour. But this is what people that maybe others compare to are actually doing. I mean, going back to the example that you said about that fitness professional that you talked about, this person 6 years ago is pretty much still maybe doing what they're doing now, but now they've got a bigger audience.
Yeah.
But probably maybe, let's say 2, 3, 6 years before that, they were still probably putting in that same type of effort as well. So it's about putting in that type of effort over the long haul. That is what's going to help us get to sort of like where we want to get to, or get closer to the type of people that we're using as that marker for where we want to be, you know? So, yeah, and I 100% agree that it's that consistent thing. It's something that we all need to sort of appreciate that we need to have with whatever thing we're doing. And I think it's because when something gets hard, that's a test. It's almost like that is being put there to go, do you really want this? To me, that's what it's like, and that's where a lot of people start to wane when things get tough, or if things aren't going the way that maybe idealistically in their head they thought it should do. So in that case, there, I mean, what type of things do you think people need to sort of really think about at those points where things are getting tough and they're maybe still looking at what other people are doing and go, why am I not doing that? What type of things do you think would probably help people?
I think when it gets difficult, you really need to really intrinsically analyse rather than focus on external things. I think that's the first favour you can do yourself, because as soon as you start comparing yourself in this instance to what someone else is doing, you can make a bad decision, because what's right for someone else isn't necessarily right for you, and that could be why you're not doing as well as you thought in the first place. If you're the equivalent of me doing some videos and being really, really serious and trying to be the scientist guy and educate people in that way, when really that's not my way, that wouldn't work for me. I like having that knowledge, but I like to educate people in a more fun way, a more enjoyable way. I like to make jokes. I'm not a super serious guy, really. So that wouldn't work for me. Like, I would never be an Ashley and X type guy doing videos like that, because that's not me. That's not how I want to come across, because that's not how I behave in real life. So for me to go down that road going, oh, I'm going to make all these really sciencey fitness videos because that's what people want to know, well, but they got someone for that, and that's not me. What am I good at? What can I bring? Like, so I always think of it like this. If I want to help people, first of all, I have to find a problem that people need solving.
Yes.
And then I need to figure out what I can bring to the table. I don't create a persona for myself based on someone else that I saw. You actually have to stop thinking about other people and think, what would I enjoy doing, and what can I do to help in that instance? Because if you look outside, you'll forever be failing, probably, because you're trying to do what someone else is already doing well, number one, and also something that you might not even be that comfortable doing. Think, what am I comfortable doing? What am I good at? So look inside rather than outside if you get stuck.
Yeah, that really is really great there, because ultimately, in the end of the day, and this is what I was just sort of writing down there, the real problem with comparison is this other person or other groups of people that you're looking at or other business, they're not you.
Mm.
And I think this is actually maybe the real issue with our society even right now, is that everyone is trying to be everyone else, so no wonder people aren't really, they almost maybe don't even know who they are to that degree. So it's about understanding what truly drives you, what motivates you, what are you happy with, what is your why in terms of even wanting to do this in the first place, what do you want to convey, what do you like doing? I mean, Simon said there that, for instance, if he was doing, when he does his videos and things, he likes to have that sort of fun persona, personality, so he's not going to sit and like try and explain like different bones in the body when they try to do an exercise. He's not going to do that. I think that's just not what he does. So it's about being ourselves, but to be ourselves, we need to be comfortable with being ourselves.
Yes.
And thinking that we're not going to actually know the answers to everything, and that's why these things take time. This is why it is that journey. This is why we have to appreciate that we can't fully compare ourselves, because people are on completely different points to where we are. All we can do is really look at other people and, again, just learn from what we can see that they've done, or even if we're able to get in touch with these people, get in touch with them and see if they can help us in that way. I think it just comes back to the sort of acceptance of us appreciating that we need, as you said, the knowledge, the effort, and the time. I mean, it sort of really does come back to that sort of like three-pronged approach.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what some of the things you just said there really highlight to me the dangers as well, sort of mentally, of comparing yourself.
Yes.
If I look back through my sort of social media history, which, if anything, is pretty short, because I was late to the game in that respect. I wasn't very computery, and still aren't really, but the problem is, so I'd be posting some pictures of myself, just doing my thing, fitness stuff, and it wouldn't get any likes, no likes, or a few, what I consider to be not many likes at the time. And then I'd be looking at other fitness people and thinking, well, that guy's looks much cooler than me. Look at him wearing his denim jacket, or I'd look like the look at some of these sort of Gymshark athletes. I don't even suppose they were Gymshark people at the time because it was years ago. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm not cool enough. I'm not cool enough for people to want to follow me. Or then I'll be looking at Athlete X and saying, I'm not knowledgeable enough. Like, people don't trust me. And all these questions are basically boiling down to, Simon, you're not good enough. And to be yourself, you have to be someone else to be successful. And that's actually, like what you were saying, that's very dangerous for a number of reasons. One is because you're not that good at being other people. You're better at being yourself. So you're more likely to be successful by being yourself. Yeah. But number two, that's a dark road to think that you being you is not good enough and you need to create a persona for people to like you, trust you, follow you, whatever it might be online. That's a slippery slope. And I think that's why, like, that boils down to the worst thing about comparing yourself to other people, is all you get out of it is either, there's two things. It could be, those people suck, I'm awesome, which is great. Like, well, it's not great to be horrible to people, but if you feel good about yourself because you've compared yourself to someone on social media and they don't know about it and no one else knows about it, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. But the other one, which is the more likely one, because like you said, when you go on social media, you tend to look up, not down, is I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be that good. I'm rubbish. Like, and you're just going to make yourself unhappy by doing that. Really, there's no good thing to come from comparing yourself to other people, to be honest. I mean, unless it's in a professional environment, like you're a professional athlete and you have to look at someone else's physique so you can develop a part of your body to beat them, or you're a sprinter and you have to run a certain time to beat another sprinter. Of course, there are elements that you would have to do if you're an athlete or something like that. But that's very objective comparison. Yeah. That's like, that guy's bicep measures 20 inches and mine's 19 inches, and so I need to get bigger to be comparable on stage. That's an objective comparison. But most comparisons that we make are subjective, and that's why they're dangerous. Because it's only your own opinion on that person and yourself. Yeah. So it could be wrong completely, but B, you're never going to get anything out of it. So just be wary of that. I mean, it's great to be inspired by people, but being inspired by people and comparing yourself to people are two different things.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, because I'm about to sort of like say something during it, but you know, I wanted you to sort of really finish your point there, and it's really subjective versus objective comparison. The thing about objective comparisons, it's usually done so we can improve. Yes. A business might look at what another business is doing and go, okay, well, they're doing this, we're doing that. Can we improve or do something that will make us better in that case? Or as you said, in the case of someone who's maybe tried to develop their physique or figure for a stage competition, they're doing it because they're trying to create a physique that will win that show. But that's the thing, it's only for winning that show. There's no other relevance to it in other aspects of life. But in terms of it being anything else, it being subjective, if all you're doing is that, then it's like, it's only then your opinion. And if your opinion's always giving you negative feedback, then of course it's just going to make you feel worse about yourself, and you might not even chase after the thing that you actually have got the knowledge and skills to be able to do, because you've just talked yourself into thinking you can't do it. So this is where it really comes down to actually sticking at things, and if you get stuck at them, that's where you just need the extra support to sort of help you through that, because all of us are capable, especially of things that we actually are passionate about or things that we enjoy, we're capable of really doing great at those things. So we shouldn't be letting this negative self-talk talk us out of the things that we actually love doing or we do have a talent for. I mean, is that sort of stuff that you sort of like think are like issues that people might face?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's especially an issue when it's something you're passionate about, because the things you're passionate about are the things you're most likely to talk down to yourself about, generally speaking. Yeah. Because those things are usually something that you've got an end goal in, which might be quite far away. Because if you've got a talent for it, you're probably in it for the long haul. And that's when you could really talk yourself out of doing something you could have been fantastic at. And that kind of makes me sad, really. Yeah. I think I think you're cutting off your own potential because you weren't as good as someone who's been doing it 10 years longer than you. How ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what happens. That genuinely, it would be like me starting men's physique with the goal of, I want to be an IFBB pro, taking one look at a pro and going, never going to be that good, might as well not bother, bye, and just never do it. Yeah. But that's what happens because people don't really want to admit that they have to be bad at the beginning. And this, we were saying this the other week, but you're not going to be great on day one. Like, your first time doing anything, unless you're exceptionally talented by chance, is always going to be bad comparatively to how good you could be at the end. So you do your first bodybuilding show, and you're not Mr. Olympia, and you go, oh, well, I'm terrible. I'm never going to be like. That's the reason to keep working, because you could get there, but you can't judge yourself on your potential by where you are now.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous because you're judging your potential based on someone else's achievements a lot of the time. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I was just sort of writing at that point. No, I mean, yeah, that is a phrase. You cannot judge your potential based on someone else's achievements, and that again just goes back to the fact that we're ourselves. We're not other people. Potentially, we may even have the potential to beat this other person, whatever it is that they're doing. But the thing is, we need to put in the same level of time and effort that other people are doing. I think that's what it comes down to, is that the comparison thing maybe sometimes can be more of a jealousy thing at times, rather than it being actually, not all the time, but sometimes, whereas it really is a case of, are you doing what you should be to get to where you are? That's really what it, to get to where you want to be, that's really what it sort of does come down to. And if we're honest with ourselves in that sort of side of it, then we will get there. It's just the thing is, it takes the time, and I think that's the thing.
Yeah, it is the time.
Yeah. Are people willing? Oh, you go.
Yes, the time element is super important, but also, and I think this is something, and that just came to my head while you were saying that, and it just reminded me of it. Is if you've got a goal in anything that you do. Mm-hmm. If you're going to look at the best in that field, you have to ask yourself this one question: am I willing to do what they do to get there? Because if you're not, the answer is you won't get there. It's as simple as that. If you're not willing to put that effort in.
I love this. This guy here saying, "Can you all pause real quick? I got to get a drink." This is actually valuable knowledge. Right, David, this will be on my YouTube channel afterwards, and they'll be on they'll be on replay for 24 hours after this live, so you won't miss out. So, but that's the thing, though. And what you said there, Simon, that is gold. Are you willing to do what these people are doing to get there? So even look at, let's say, and this is what I think what you said was so funny before. It's like someone, let's say, who wants to be a professional athlete, looks at a professional athlete and just goes, "Nah, I'll never make it," without even really properly trying. You're like, or someone who goes to school and then, let's say, that primary 1, you see like a primary 7 who's got all these grades, and just go, "Nah, this school thing's not for me." It's like, you've not even tried. Or even back to your baby analogy, the baby trying to walk, it falls down 5 times and goes, "This walking thing's not for me because I've seen other people walk, but I can't do it, so I'm just going to." We need to get our heads screwed on right, and I think that's what it comes down to. Having the right drive, or for whatever passion it is you've got, we've got to look at other people as inspiration, but then it really comes down to, if we're serious about it, are we willing to do what these other people are doing, have done?
And a lot of the time, it goes back to what we said at the beginning, those people make it look easy for a reason. Yeah. Because if you were one of the best bodybuilders in the world one day, which could happen, and do you want to go around going, "Oh, this is so hard, really hard"? You're more bound to take it in your stride and be like, yeah, do you know what? Because you know you worked really hard to get there. You're enjoying it at that point. It's the same like your Usain Bolt. He knows he's brilliant. He's going to beat you, but he's not going to make it look difficult for him. Like he wouldn't do that. He's not. Oh, that was a hard race. If he can make it look easy, he will. But you would be surprised what those same people are doing behind the scenes. They're working harder than anyone to be that good. Do you know what I mean? Usain Bolt might be an outlier there because I think he notably doesn't train as hard as he's like, but he's at what we would call an outlier. But most of these top athletes, your eyes would melt at how much work they put in when you're not watching. So never compare yourself based on the thought that it's easy for them. Like one of the examples, the thing that goes around the fitness industry quite a lot is these like big food challenge things that you see on YouTube and Instagram, and they're eating all this food. And the question is always, oh, but they're always in shape. Like, I couldn't do that, eat all that food and still be in shape. Oh, they've got freaky genetics. That's what you see. That's what your brain tells you, and that's what they want you to think because that's why they're popular in the industry. But you don't see the 2 hours cardio they did in the morning, the 2 hours in the afternoon, the weight session, the small amounts of food they ate the 2 days before and the 2 days afterwards. Because they don't show you that, because they select what they want you to see. Exactly. And that's how media works. So you can't then judge yourself. Well, I ate 10,000 calories today, and I've gained loads of weight, and I'm like, as you know, because you did something like that. But I don't want to go on to that as a subject, but you don't see the behind the scenes, and those people that are putting out that content, you bet they're working damn hard to maintain their physique, so you think that about them.
Yeah. And the thing really about that, really when it comes down to it, is all masters in any field make their craft look easy. Look at anyone like Van Gogh in terms of painting, Einstein in terms of mathematics. The reason these people are so revered is because people understand that this thing is very hard, but they're revered because they make it look easy. That's the point.
Yes, no, it is, and that's why anyone who's right at the top of their field will make it look easy, because they'll think, well, if it's so easy for him, I need his help. Because generally when someone gets to the top of the field, there's an element of coaching involved with other people, right? So they want it to look easy because they want you to want their help or to look up to them. That's the point. That's why I would be lying if I said I wanted to be a men's physique Olympia champion just for me. Like, it's nice that people look up to you and you enjoy that success. Obviously, it's for you in that you've put the work in, and it would be a fantastic achievement. But you're going to prioritise on it. Let's face it. Yeah. And it's nice that someone looks at you and goes, "Look what he's achieved!" Like, and one day someone to be saying, "Oh, but it was so easy for him." Like, it's probably like a little bit of internal satisfaction. You know that it wasn't easy, but someone thinks that. Not going to correct them, but
and I think ultimately it really comes down to the fact that to achieve anything requires sacrifice, dedication, and actual proper effort and time. And I think that's what people really appreciate and understand, but they use the comparison thing almost as a safety mechanism sometimes to just go, well, it's easy for them, or maybe I'm just not good enough to do it, as I almost get out of jail to actually put in the required effort to maybe get there. So again, that's what it comes down to. If we're doing this comparison thing, we've got to look at why are we doing it? Are we doing it because we actually want to get to where they want to get to? Or are we doing it as an excuse to not get to where they want to get, where we say we want to get to? So is that something you agree?
Yeah, and in which case it's time to rethink what you actually want, because if you're using someone else's success to talk you out of trying, perhaps you're not that bothered about that thing. Perhaps that was the wrong thing. You want to, like, for me, if I see the top physique guys, that's a crazy driver for me, because I'm like, I need to get that good. That's what I want to do. It doesn't push me away, it pushes me forward.
Yes.
Because I see those people and I'm like, oh, I need to be that good. Like, so I think if I'd chosen the wrong thing, and let's say I'd started doing my men's physique training and a year in I look at one of the guys and go, oh, I don't think I could ever get that good. And then I stopped working. Obviously, I wasn't that passionate. Hi, Valentina. I wasn't that passionate about it in the first place. I've probably chosen the wrong thing. So sometimes it could be a message to you that maybe you need to look for something else. If you're not willing to address something positively and put the work in, is it worth it for you? Maybe it's not. Maybe something else is. So it can't always be negative.
Really, I think really with this comparison, it really does show what the internal mental state of that person is, as we've sort of just talked about there. I mean, is the comparison because we want to actually get better at something, or is it that we're using it as a sort of negative to either talk ourselves out of it or to make ourselves feel worse when we don't really need to? Because at the end of the day, to really get anywhere, let's say it is that person who starts school to actually graduate from their primary school or elementary school, whatever it is, they need to go through things to graduate. Everyone needs to go through a process to learn what they need to learn so they can actually move on to the next thing. And I think that's just ultimately what we need to appreciate. That these things, again, that people may be doing, be it in fitness, be it in business world, be it whatever, be it in art, these people have acquired knowledge and acquired skills that they've almost maybe to a degree perfected, and that's why it looks so easy.
Yeah.
This is why, I suppose, even for ourselves, this is why we can get into the shapes that we can get into, because we're understanding the craft and things we can. But the thing is, we both know we can get better. Yeah.
Do you ever look back at your previous physiques, like your previous best at shows, and think, could get more shredded? I could be bigger. Like, you're always looking for the next improvement, but that's the positive thing.
That's a positive comparison. And I think you've just before you go there, but then again, I think you've just raised a great point there. The best comparison anyone can do is with themselves.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Because and admitting, so for me, when I competed last year, that was the best I'd ever looked, because it was my most recent showing, right? So you would hope so that it was better than the last one. But then I look at it now. At the time, I was like, wow, I can't believe I've got this good. I've got leaner than ever before. Like, I've done it all on my own, and I was super pleased with myself. I look at the photos now, and like almost a year down the line, and I'm hyper self-critical now. And I look at the photos and I go, well, actually, I wasn't that lean, and I wasn't that big, and that pose was bad. But I'm not doing it to say belittle my own achievements. It's now it's long enough into the future that I can analyse that objectively and move forward to the next one. So it's very hard to be negative about your own body when it's your current body, because that makes you feel bad, right? But you can analyse a previous physique and learn from it. So, and that tends to be how I make progress in my bodybuilding. So when I was really bulking up, and I looked at myself, and at one stage I looked at myself and thought, God, I look terrible now, and it had gone too far, and it was obvious. But all up until that point, I'd kind of blanked it out, like, I'm bulking up. But now I look back, and I can learn, well, actually, at that point, I probably should have stopped. But at the time, it's okay. But looking back on it, I go, well, actually, Simon, to yourself, you look like you should have stopped 2 months before. And you can be objective, so next time you know how to do it. Or if, I could have been a bit lean, and next time I might diet for a bit longer, I won't get as big in the off season. But it's easier looking back. I mean, it's very hard to be emotionally detached from your physique. So comparing yourself to yourself is great, but sometimes you need, like, to have changed a bit, or, even mentally, it's like the equivalent of leaving an idea overnight and coming back to it the day after, right? So you're not as attached to that idea at the time you analyse it. So self-comparison sometimes needs a bit of time, even if it's just an idea. Sometimes if you've got an idea and you think it's brilliant and you're like thinking about it, just leave it and come back to it. Is it still a good idea the next day? If yes, continue. If no, back to the drawing board. So yeah, but you're right. Comparing yourself to yourself is the best thing. And remember that your environment and how you progress is really dictated by how you react to it. So it would be really easy for you to be negatively, oh, I look so fat, I can't believe it. I look so ridiculous. Everyone must have been laughing at me. That's not constructive. There's no point. It's done now.
Yeah,
exactly. Look at it and think positively about how you can improve. And that way, I'm not a victim of my own failures. I've actually learned something, and I've actually made positive progress from what I say is a failure in my own eyes, maybe not someone else's. But that's the best way to analyse yourself. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the negative, but you've got to remember, criticism has to be constructive and apply that to yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's what we've talked about previously as well, in terms of this is why failure shouldn't stop people from doing things, because it's only in failure or making a mistake that we actually really learn. And that is really what experience is. I mean, to me, I think experience is applied knowledge. Yeah. It's knowledge that we've actually got from either maybe book knowledge or because we've actually done something through experience and understood why it works this way for us or whatever the situation is. And that's what experience is, and that's even what wisdom is to a degree. So we're not going to get these things if we, first of all, don't try, but if we keep on beating ourselves up about things because we're not maybe where we want to be, then look at other people, and we're putting ourselves in this negative spiral that's just never going to unwind for us. So yes, it's about being positive, but it's also about what Simon's sort of like key 3 things were, which I think is a great way to sort of end this one, that is to focus on time, effort and knowledge. If we're not getting to where we're getting at, we've got to look at, have we put in enough time in comparison to people that maybe be at the level that you want to be at? Have you been doing it for long enough yet? If your answer is no to that, then keep on going. You know? Are you putting in enough effort? And again, are you putting enough effort in terms of what you are putting out to try and make this work? Are you wasting time? Knowledge. Are you giving yourself the tools necessary for you to achieve what you want to achieve? It's only when we have all 3 of these that then we can start to make progress, and we'll probably then start to see that we don't need to probably do this comparison thing as much as maybe we might be trying to do. And if we are doing it, it should only be to try and look to better ourselves and to match these people that we're either idolising or looking at people that give us the sort of impetus to get to these higher levels. So yeah, again, with that said, I think that was really some great points there. I mean, I think we've just got the last sort of few minutes there, but I mean, there's any sort of like quick things you want to sort of tie up with what we said there in terms of, you know, final points for comparison, really?
Well, I think we've touched on the main things. I think really just whenever you do compare yourself to yourself or other people, remember that what decision you make in the moment to go negative or positive is going to create momentum for you. And you always want to have positive momentum in your life. So even if someone's in your own books better than you, use the knowledge that you think they're better to find out what they have that you don't on that list of 3. Have they been doing it for longer? Okay, stop worrying. Okay. Have they got knowledge that you don't have? Yes. Time to learn something more, right? And are they trying harder than you? Yes or no? Yeah. So then you know what you need to do. So don't look at it negatively, analyse it, fill in the boxes on that 3 list, and then use it to positive outcome.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I think that's sort of fantastic there. So hopefully that sort of like gives people sort of like a bit of help in sort of like understanding why they shouldn't be comparing themselves to other people during lockdown or even when we finish lockdown, because it's definitely not a positive thing for us to be sort of like thinking about. Is really only use other people or other things as inspiration to potentially achieve what we want to achieve, and use these people as sort of going, they've made it possible. If I do something similar, if I put the same level of effort, work, and get the same amount of knowledge, then I can be at that type of level as well. So brilliant stuff there again, Simon. Fantastic work there. So now really pleased with that, and hopefully people will find this sort of useful as well. So that's the end of episode 11 of Quarantine Fitness and Life. I was here again with my main co-host, Simon Chandler. You can follow him at Shredded with Simon on Instagram. So anyone that's just joined in now, this will be on my Instagram story replay, so you can see it there, the whole thing, and I'll have it on my YouTube channel shortly as well. So from the both of us for now, we'll catch you next time.
See you later. Take care.